Namaskar. Very warm welcome to all our viewers and learners in this very special session of CIET NCERT named MANODARPAN Paricharcha. I am Renu Bhatt with you all and you are watching us live on eVidya channel, channel number 6 and 11. And apart from all those channels, you are with us on our YouTube channel as well, that is NCERT Official. And let me tell you that this is very special initiative of Ministry of Education, and in this particular session, Manodarpan Paricharcha, we talk about mental well-being of students and we try to provide them psychosocial support as well. And the topic that we are going to discuss today in this specific session is managing emotions in the face of upcoming board result. And we all know that even exams are tough, but even the result time even more scariest to things to experience. And in this specific Manodarpan Paricharcha, we are going to learn how you all can control your emotion in this very toughest time. And let me tell you that we have a lot of ways through which you can participate in this specific session. If you have any query, any doubt, or if you want to share your experience, you can contact us in this live phone-in session. You can call us on our telephone number, that is 8800 and you can drop a email address as well. But before that, let me tell you, if you want to know more about Manodarpan, what exactly Manodarpan is, and you want to know more about this particular thing, then you can explore our special dedicated website, that is www.manodarpan.education.gov.in. And apart from this particular website, we have our national tele helpline number as well, that is 844-844-0632. And you can join us through our live streaming on our Facebook page as well, that is NCERT. And apart from all those things, we are expecting your participation in this particular session. And let me tell you that before I start this particular session, let me share a very important piece of information regarding India's G20 with you all. We are indeed very proud that India assumed G20 presidency and will convene the G20 Leaders Summit for the first time in the country in 2023. A nation that deeply committed to democracy and multilateralism, India's G20 presidency would be a watershed moment in her history as it seeks to play an important role by finding pragmatic global solutions for the well-being of all. And in doing so, manifests the true spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, or we can say the whole world is one family. With that very important piece of information, let quickly get back to the session in which we are going to discuss about the topic, that is managing emotions in the face of upcoming board result. So over to you, Dr. Subhas Chandra Roy. You are professor from NERIE, Shillong. Very warm welcome, sir. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Over to you, sir. Please introduce yourself and all the panelists to all of us, sir.
Namaskar. I am Professor Subhas Chandra Roy from NERIE NCERT Shillong, and we are participating in this Manodarpan Paricharcha today in this session. And the topic is that managing emotions in the face of upcoming board results. And in today's session, we have very expert panelists with us. Miss Manju Sharma, TGT English from Assam. Then we have with us Miss Ira Dashisha Kynta, a school counselor from a reputed school in Shillong. We have with us Mr. Kamal Kafley, a TGT Science JNB Sikkim, and we have with us a very famous personality, Miss Anupam Talwar Kohli. She is a counseling psychologist and a practicing career counselor. Friends, the topic today is very important because, the exams and results related stress is a big issue these days in our country. If you remember our esteemed Prime Minister's talk on exam stress, Paricharcha Paricharcha, I mean, he has talked at length on this issue, that what are the kinds of stress and anxieties related to the exam and how children, students, the future of this country, they suffer from this and how to deal with such things. Uh, there is a book written by him is Exam Warrior. It's a 193 page handbook which contains all these ideas there. So it's a beautiful read for anyone. Uh, if you remember that, every year we see in the news that there's a heart rending headlines, so to say, that the students are committing suicide after result, whether it's a board result or any competitive examinations result, be it NEET or JEE or say UPSC or any state level examinations. So it's a common phenomenon here in our country, and there's a wide range of discussion, and there's a wide range of reports and articles coming up these days. Even the foreign media also, they are covering. In Wire recently, there was an article about the suicides in Kota, a famous place in Rajasthan, known for the coaching hub. So, I mean, it's a very common. And, it's a, if we look at this scenario, we find that it's a very great, serious human consequences because of the academic failure. And the findings of researchers, they say that as soon as children enter the high school, secondary stage, the tension, the anxiety increases there in them because of the pressures, because of maybe to prove something, maybe to show something, their friends, neighbors, society, or to live up to the parental expectations, or maybe to get a better career, a better seat in some better institutions in the country. Because ultimately, what I believe is that these things are related to the social mobility, the economic mobility. So once you do well in a particular examination, that changes a student's life in future and family's status in future in the society. So that is how the competition is more. The examination is becoming tougher and tougher every day, and children are getting stressed, and as a result they start torturing themselves. They start torturing themselves mentally and emotionally. They get exhausted. And so that is how, and if the expectation is not met, then as soon as the result is out or during that course, there is fallout and there is a human loss. That is what we are perceiving these days. That is what we are seeing these days. If you look at the NCRB data, that is National Crime Record Bureau data, we find that after 2014 onward, it is going up. The suicide rate is increasing every year, and especially in this pandemic era. And the scenario is in the pandemic area in 2020 or 2021, if NCRB data, if we look at, nearly we find that it has gone to the maximum, the level. Out of total suicide rates in this country, we find that, it has crossed more than 2% rates among students because of the academic failure and result and exam stress. So this is how we see the things. Nearly we are losing 2,500 lives as per the record. 2,500 lives, young lives in our country because of this stress and because of this rat race in the society and the career building exercises. I remember there's one film, The Three Idiot, when I saw that, and in that engineering college, a prestigious engineering college, in the film, it is shown that a student commits suicide and he writes, I quit. I mean, this is a common scenario. Even IITs, we have the reports with us. In IITs, students are committing suicide. So the pressure is to ultimately, I find that it is a social and economical problem, and we all are party to this problem. As a teacher, as a teacher educator, as parents, as community leaders, as government. So we all are party to this, and we have to take a note of it, and we have to play a crucial role in this. So there are many regions and there are many players in this, and we have to save the future generation and we have to build future lives in this country. Human life is precious. Human life is precious, and young life is more precious. So we have to do. So with this note, I think that I remember few days back I was there. Mm, uh, with one of my relatives, and there was a young boy. I just asked him, how is the life? He said, "Ki, Uncle, my result is about to come, 12th result, and yesterday night I could not sleep." I mean, it's not a simple sentence and feedback. Rather, it's a caution. It's a caution. The magnitude we do not understand unless we go deep into it. So these are the things which we find around us, and we have to address them. For this, we are here today in this session, and I would like to start our discussion today, discourse today, with Miss Ira Dashisha Kynta,
Hello, sir.
very good school counselor from a very prestigious school in Shillong. Miss Ira, would you like to throw some light on the emotional upheaval which through which a child or a student or a examinee goes through before the the publishing of the result, as well as if it will be benefited if you see that how can we prevent this situation beforehand, beforehand. Miss Ira.
Thank you so much. Um, it's a very interesting question. I mean, I would first like to answer the first part of the question about the kind of emotions which children are young adolescents who are awaiting the results for class 10 and 12 board exams. The common emotions which we usually face as school counselors, which we encounter on a yearly basis, once a year basis, is a heightened level of guilt feeling, there's a heightened level of fear, there's a heightened level of a mixed emotion of I don't know if I should cry or I'm confused. There are these mixed emotions. Then other than that, there are also a lot of like you correctly mentioned, sleepless nights just few days before the exam results are declared, sleepless nights, loss of appetite. Okay. And also we students tend to compare, they start comparing themselves with others. If did I perform better than the other, or if they even receive the marks or the results have been declared, they would look at the marks and actually be like, no, I think I deserve to get a re-evaluation. They start cross-questioning themselves, doubting themselves, self-doubt, even after the results come out. So these are all the kind of questions and emotions and reactions which children face during before or when the results are declared. But what is interesting, now coming to the second bit of your question, what is interesting is to look and to further analyze. And probably the question which you've asked is can actually be traced back, to its origin, right from the time a child enters class 10 or class 12. That is the time when important stakeholders like parents and teachers start putting pressure, expectations, and start building a frame around the child. And with that starts right from the beginning of the journey of class 10. So it is so important that stakeholders like teachers and parents, who form the most important spheres in the child's life, should inculcate in the child's mind that that it is not only during class 10 that the pressure or the expectations must be built up or the guard should be pulled up, but even at an early stage of life, when a child is just entering class 6 or a younger age, early, a child can actually be reinforced with ideologies on positive thinking. And also, career counseling can also be introduced at an early stage. Thinking, when I say career counseling, I actually mean career pedagogy. When we talk about career also at a very early stage in life, not putting any pressure, but even lightly just talking about it. In India, why is board exam results such a big deal? That is the question. Uh, every child goes to class 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So but why is class 10 such a big deal nationwide? That is because the kind of expectations, the kind of guard that parents and teachers have put up around the child is that the best is associated with good marks. And therefore, living in that framework is actually very challenging. So, as a counselor, as a school counselor, my objective is to ensure that I groom a child to become a good human being. That is the underlying base. If a child is groomed in that kind of a mindset, it becomes so much easier when he or she grows. As they grow older, they actually inculcate a healthy, mindful mindset, and it becomes so much easier for them to face or accept challenges or failures or even rejection for that matter. The task becomes slightly lesser. And for that, the stakeholders, the important stakeholders in the lives, parents and teachers, should be one. We should work together as a team. And in order to do that, we have to eradicate a lot of things, work on many things, many components. It could be a reduction of reducing the communication gap. We should ensure that it should be a two-way dialogue system, wherein we put in a little bit of debriefing, evaluation, or what we call a feedback method. Other than that, if you look at the children nowadays, everybody is into the digital world, the mobile. And hence, as parents and teachers, we should also update ourselves. When I say update ourselves, I don't mean update ourselves only in the social media sector or the digital world, but also update ourselves so that we can have conversations, meaningful conversations with children. We can talk about current affairs, what is going in and around the country, outside the country, creating more awareness in our children, in our school-going children. And I think one of the most important factors, influencing without authority. One should be able as a stakeholder to influence our children without any sense of, without any authority. And today's generation are highly sensitive when it comes to emotions. They are highly sensitive. Children are sensitive. Therefore, our influential method should be in such a way where authority is left, yet respect is followed around it. And then career aptitude test is something which probably during your time, sir, my time, was not very much of a hype. But nowadays, in order to help children sharpen or realize their potential or their dream, we counselors, we actually proposed a child and the parents that the children should actually go for a career counseling test. And the career counseling test actually helps them not only to realize which stream they should be taking up after the 10 or the 12, but also it measures their interest area. And interest is something which is innate in every human being. And if you realize your positive interest in you, it takes you a long way, a very long way. So a combination of the right interest and the career aptitude test, the amalgamation of both, is actually a very strong foundation to be able to help a child in realizing the potential, the dreams. And I think the last bit is also, when we are realizing their potential, their identity, their interest, we should also identify a passing phase versus a sustained phase in a child's life, the interest, and once we realize that, it becomes so much easier as stakeholders to maneuver the child accordingly. And lastly, as stakeholders, when we see that our children have flaws in them. They are not 99 percentile, or they are slightly on the lower side. We should accept it and work on it, but also at the same time do not deny it. So we should accept it. And like I said earlier, um, job opportunities in today's day and age is so vast, so versatile, so flexible. A child need not do the traditional conventional style of education. Right after class 12, a dropout can nicely sit behind a chair and easily still start a startup, you know. So we need to, and for that to happen, we need to be able as stakeholders to tap their interests, and for that we need to introduce career pedagogy at a very early stage in their lives. Yeah, so that's all. If you have anything else.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Ira. Thank you, Ira. So nicely you explained and you put up your points. It is, so thrilling to understand that this career pedagogy from the beginning and then a collective amalgamation of parents, teachers, the interest of the students as well as the aptitude, ability of the students, and then wide range of career prospects in today's world. And many things are there which might help a student to take various pathways in their life. So wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much, Ira. Now I would like to go to Mr. Kamal Kafley. Mr. Kamal Kafley, you have been teaching in a school, JNV school, which is very much residential in nature, and you are from a very reputed school. Would you like to tell us that Mm, how this the common symptoms? What are the common symptoms? Of a child who is passing through that phase when there is, the child is a student is waiting for the result to come out, and he is passing through that. What are the common symptoms you find, common observations you have among students, such students? Can you throw some light on that?
Good afternoon. Namaste, everyone. Thank you, sir, for highlighting such an important issue out here. Uh, Waiting period between finishing exams and getting grades can expose the child to a lot of stress. We have seen that as teachers, as parents, as stakeholders, we know nervousness, stress, and anxiety can ultimately lead to depression. And these are very common these days. These students may develop fear, eating disorder, sleeping disorders, and other issues which may not be visible at that moment, but they may have a very long term effect. That is very persistent now among the students these days because there is always the fear of doing well. Suppose if a student has done well in class 10, the student will definitely feel that no, I have to do something very good in class 12 also. My grades has to be good because that fear is always there. And I agree with Ira, whatever she has said, sir, that much of the things depends on us, our shoulders, the adults, the parents, the teachers, the counselors. But these things will crop up. Anxiety, the pressure, the stress, the depression in students, they will crop up every now and then, especially during this waiting period after the appearing of their board examinations. But we make it possible for these children to understand that we can deal with such type of situations. As students, as human beings, it is easy to overcome these situations, and everything depends upon the students themselves. Uh, I personally feel as a teacher that there are certain things that students should keep in mind. Certain points I would like to highlight upon, sir. Staying mindful, very important. Learning to meditate, and connect with the mind and body. If a student creates a better connection between the mind and body, the level of stress is less. The second important point I feel is that uh, as students, as adolescents, they should understand that everyone goes through this type of situation. I mean, uh, exams, before exams, after exams, the period, the results, every student has to go through this type of situation. And how they can overcome this? If they ask, they need to talk to elder siblings or the seniors who have already gone through this situation. This will give the students the much needed strength to know that with time, when they look back, they will forget why they were so stressed in the first place. Ultimately, they will come to understand at the later period when they reach the later stage of their life. Oh, I was stressed, but I could handle it. Now I have to give back to others as a senior or as a human being or as whatever role the student takes in the society. The second important thing is very important, sir, because every student has to pass through a similar situation. And the thirdly, I would say the communication of the feelings. The students have to communicate their feelings to those who are non-judgmental to them, who they feel that has never been judgmental to them. It may be someone from their family, someone from their friend, it may be either of the parents or any person in the society who is ready to listen to them without judging them. Very important, sir. So it's a great deal to be non-judgmental on our part also. And children, they have to do things which make them happy. Very important because uh, in this world of mobile, social media, which brings undue stress in the minds of students. This doing things which makes us happy, say for example, our hobbies, our interests, this will vent out the unnecessary stress and tension. And they will not be counting days to the result date, and the time will pass with fun and ease. I remember, sir, that earlier these result days were not declared and suddenly the results would come out, and students would not have that waiting period. Of course they could be waiting period, but then the students suddenly when the results were out, it would come as a shock for them, and then this would lessen the burden of stress and anxiety. But now, with the passage of time, the days of the results are declared. They say that the result will be declared on such and such day, so it creates unnecessary tension. And I would like to tell the students that please do not remain confined indoors. Even research has proved that moving out in the open space, looking towards the greenery, the blue skies will definitely have a positive impact in the mindset. Rather than confining yourself and watching television, a lot of channels, different kind of content in the channels will make your mind disturbed. And this relating to this, the most important thing, staying away from social media and such news which highlight negativity. Because we know, sir, as Ira has already said, that why don't we sit with our children? Why don't these children sit with us, with the parents, discussing about some good things, discussing about the lives of the parents, how it would be earlier and how it is now. At least these things would keep them aloof from the social media, because social media, it's nowadays it's full of negativity. This videos, and always the news channels are always flashing with breaking news, such and such thing has happened. So I think students, somewhere these things have a negative impact in the mind of the students, and ultimately this gives a lot of nervousness to them. And again, much of the thing comes to the mobile technology, and 90% of the students these days, they sleep less because, again, the main culprit here is the mobile. They take the mobile to their bed, and they find solace in watching the internet and other the social media, and then ultimately what happens is that the period of rest is cut off. So sufficient sleep is very important, sir, I believe, because this sleep not only gives a rest to the body but to the mind as well. And it's very important that we as parents, as teachers, as counselors, as stakeholders understand what a student really feels during this time, because we are the people who are always close to them, who are always monitoring them, their activities. Sometimes these situations become obvious and sometimes not. So regular keeping in touch with the children, it's very, very important, sir. And what we should not do is comparison. Very, very difficult situation is created because of this comparison. I would just like to uh, give two things here. If the students are watching me, I think they should be very watchful here. I have a crayon with me and a pencil here. Now, if I allow this crayon to write beautiful handwriting, I'm sorry, I will not be able to do that. That can be done only with the help of a pencil, which is sharp enough. So, this crayon says, I am not sharp enough. Whereas the pencil says, I am not colorful enough. So, what happens here is that comparison kills creativity. Somewhere in the minds of the students, we have instilled this comparison. During my time, it was like that. During my time, there was not sufficient uh, things for us, but we have given you everything. Why don't you do it? You should come up with good results. Mr. X's son has done this. He is doing something outside the country. He is studying abroad. Why can't you do it? We have given you all the facilities. So I think much of the things depends upon us. I believe, sir, rather than the children, because we want them to bloom. They are the future generation of our country. Today we are in their situation. Tomorrow they will be in our situation, and all this will come ultimately to them. And we should allow them to bloom, whatever fields they pursue. I think this
Thank
is
you.
very important.
Thank you, Kamalji. Thank you very much for the
Thank you,
beautiful
sir.
example demonstration you have shown with the help of the crayon and the pencil. And
Yes, sir.
rightly said that this waiting period after exam and the result, until the result, this waiting period is really very troublesome for the student, and the longer the period, the longer the anxiety period also. And of course, I think you have rightly said that there are many ways to help the students, to manage the students, and there are many factors also which we can overcome, and we can save our beautiful, precious lives in our country, and we can make their lives happy and beautiful. Now I would like to go to another, stalwarts in the field, Miss Anupam Talwar. Miss Anupam Talwar, you are a very renowned counseling psychologist, and you are a practicing career counselor. I can because as soon as the result comes out, I have and we very often we see that there are an a wage of emotional outbursts among the students. And these outbursts could be positive in the way and could be negative also. And there are many nuances there. And these nuances and the degrees therein, I think they also decide what turn it will take later and what kind of fallout or consequences might happen. So, can you throw some details of these nuances, the outburst after, immediately after the result comes out among students, these teenagers? Uh,
Gee,
yeah.
Dr. Subhash, yes, this what you have asked me to share, I will. Though I think most people would think this is one of the easiest answered questions, na? That what emotional reactions would happen immediately after results? Very simply put, how many different marks can a child get? So, there's a whole continuum from bad marks to good marks. So, similarly, there's a whole continuum of emotions from negative emotions to positive emotions, right? So, directly related to the marks the person gets. But I think the kind of the important question here is, how do we decide what are good marks and what are bad marks? Because mostly we just start on the assumption that if a child has got bad marks, obviously they will experience negative emotions. If a child has got good marks, obviously they will experience positive emotions. But here is where this entire thing becomes more complex. So more complex, to understand it in a way can be something very like, okay, our passing mark is 33. So if, let's say, a child has obtained 35% marks, I think almost everyone will agree those are bad marks. Under no circumstances can we say those are good marks. But so is it possible for a child who's got 35% to have positive emotions or experience a positive response? Yes, it is. It is in various ways. Maybe that child was so convinced I'm going to fail, so just getting to know, oh wow, I passed, and he's happy about that. Or maybe that child has the kind of a very accepting, what we say, social environment. The social environment comprises of your parents, your friends, your teachers, and a lot of you yourself, what you expect from yourself. So maybe their social environment is the kind is very encouraging. Ki good, you passed. We are proud of you. Whereas, again, now the other extreme of the continuum, there can be a child who has actually obtained, let's say, 98% marks. I think once again, universally, everyone would say 98. Oh, wow, those are good marks. So obviously, we don't have to worry about negative emotions in that child, right? 98%. But here comes the clincher, so to say. In fact, when we talk about these examples that you cited also, and which are very common, which we associate with marks coming and then children taking the extreme, the worst possible step, of feeling depressed, low, lack of self-worth, that they actually try to kill themselves. A lot of cases, a lot of times, it is in fact not the children who have failed, who are making such attempts. It is the children who fall into this mark of the so-called high achievers. Because these high achievers are the ones who come loaded with a lot of high expectations. These expectations, once again, come from their environment. It could be coming, from multiple places, including from within themselves. So this child who got 98% marks it is possible that that child experiences the lowest, the most negative possible emotional response of feeling completely hopeless in life. Why? Because he expected better. How could I lose out on those 2% marks? That's not me. I have nothing left in life. It is possible. So one, we need to start out there to understand that every student has to be seen as a unique human being. We cannot start out with generalizations. We cannot start out with so-called assumptions about expected emotional responses. We have to be able to look at every child as one single individual, unique human being, a unique human being who has their own unique set of life experiences, a unique set of social environment, and each of those contribute to possibly how, what kind of emotional response that person may experience in that given time. So it all, and this carries on. Now again, to think that emotional responses are just either they'll be happy or they'll be sad. No, there's even more. There's a lot more. Think of all the plethora of emotions you can think, and they happen at this time. The reason again being, it is not just the marks being declared, their result being declared. It is also actually about the fact that now that your result is declared, you are ready for the next step. And that next step brings with it a lot of anxiety, a lot of indecisions, a lot of confusions, and again, a new set of, that little excitement about starting out on a new journey. But then it is, especially like we say, which has been spoken about by the others, and so rightly so, that our society, the way it is right now, right? So the kind of societal pressures and expectations that exist, that in addition to our existing education system. So I really have lots of hopes with the NEP getting implemented, and I'm sure that in the coming years, these things will change. But for now, focusing on the present, in the now, we have to accept that this is how things are, that the declaration of the board results is almost like, so to say, a very major event in the happening of that child. And this is a major life event happening, in addition to the fact, like Subhas, you yourself said, they are adolescents. All of them are adolescents. And adolescence is otherwise a stage in life where we expect heightened emotions, right? So I would say one thing we can generalize is that during this time, while everyone will be experiencing very, very lots of different kinds of emotions, they can be confused, they can be, faced with indecision. Even, somebody who has scored so well in all the subjects is also not happy. Why? Because they were hoping, that, okay, based on how I score, I'll be able to decide what subjects I take in class 11, let's say. And now I've scored well in everything. So, oh God, now how do I decide? So yes, I mean, it sounds silly, but it is not. For that child, it is a very challenging thing. So what the previous panelists said is very relevant. One, that career counseling is not just about helping you choose a career. It is something that motivates children to study better. It is something that helps them to handle their results better also. Because, they kind of have things planned out. They know where to head. Everything in their life is not banking upon the marks that they score, right? But having said that, the last thing that I want to leave you with is that once the results are declared, every child is unique. Yes, everyone has a different life experience. Yes, but despite that, expect heightened emotional responses. That is a normal at this time. Whatever emotions, whatever their response may be, expect it. The red flag would be a child who has dulled emotional response at this time, no matter what marks they got. So don't think that the child who got that 98% and if he's, okay, it could be a red flag. I'm not saying necessarily, but that can be an indicative of a red flag. So the only thing I would say is we're going to experience and we come across all kinds of emotional responses. That is a normal. How to handle it, how to best handle it. All the panelists are sharing with us beautifully how we can. I just want to leave with this, that we must expect emotional response at this juncture when results are declared. Board results in India, when they are declared, a child is expected to have an emotional response to it. If they don't have an emotional response, please treat it as a red flag. Please pay special attention to that child. Get that child talking. Get that child to share what's going on in their heart, what's going on in their mind. So I think for now, that is from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Anupamji. It's really wonderful and a new perspective you have added to the discussion. That whenever the result comes, actually we have to understand, we have to read and interpret, or this mark system or the result, whatever way we are getting. We have to understand and interpret it. It's a matter of interpretation and taking up. The result, whether sometimes 35% also how we are accepting it, and sometimes 98% also might be fatal if the child is not accepting. And there, the degree matters, and then there are points where you can get that red flag you receive, and then you need to address those things. So wonderful perspective you have given to the whole discourse today, ma'am. And I was expecting this of you. So wonderful. Now I would like to go to Miss Manju Sharma ji. Miss Manju Sharma, PhD English from Assam. Ma'am, the last question to you is, suppose the result is out and the student has received the result, then the result might be as Anupam ji has said, or even Kamal ji also said the same thing. Others also, Ira also explained about that. The result could be, it could be taken as a positive or negative by the candidate or by the surrounding. So that kind of the thing would be there, and with that there would be some reactions inside. Some it might lead to some personality traits and characteristics of the student. So how to even a better result also 98% also might be a wrong thing to a particular child, a child A, and even 35% could be good, but mostly the failures and the low achievement generally they are very disappointing these days in our society, and that way they perceive it. And there are some problems related to that, as we have seen the consequences and we are witnessing the consequences. Now my question to you is, given this situation after the result, what do you suggest how to, if you have such students around, you find such students around, our students parents, they find such students around just after the result, that their wards, their children, their students, some of them, they are having some issues with the result. How to motivate them, how to manage them, how to tell them to deal with the situation, and how to, make them again, bring them on the track so that the child can accept it and go ahead with a better planning and better life. So how do you think and how do you explain this?
Okay, so today class 10 and 12 results are out, we know. And just before our session was going to start, I was getting host of phone calls, though I could not take those. I'll be taking in the evening. But I think as a teacher, there must be mixed feelings among the students. Some might be enthusiastic to see their result, and some might be low, also feeling low. But as far as my views are concerned, if these feelings are for a temporary phase, they remain for a short period of time, because you see public memory is very short. So within a week, if these types of feelings are there, anxiety is there, dissatisfaction is there among the students, it will vanish with a positive outlook. And if they have self-belief and they get support from the people, this is very, very important, if they get support from the people who are around them. And one more thing I would like to tell here, that this exam related anxiety or stress, whatever you call it, it has nothing to do with the capability or the merit of a child. As Madam, one of our panelists just now pointed out, all kinds of students, whether they are meritorious or mediocre or late bloomers, they are experiencing this frustration, disappointment, when actually the things don't go as they have planned. It's a natural, I think, human response if we are expecting a certain result as an adult also and we are not getting. So it is but natural to have such feelings. However, the important thing to remember is that we have the power to shift our perspective and choose how to react to that situation. So we need to empower the students. My fellow panelists have already highlighted the fact that students undergo a lot of emotional upheaval, anxiety before the result is out, and even after the result doesn't meet their expectations. So it is imperative, it is very vital for all of us as teachers, parents, counselors, and relatives, because as soon as your child's result is announced, there'll be from the relatives, from the neighbors. So it is everyone's, I think, duty to motivate the students so that they can help them to boost up their morale and help the child sail through this tough time very easily. Adopting a few strategies, I would like to just share a few strategies which the children and the parents can adopt at this moment, at this crucial moment when the result is in their hand. First is accept result with a calm and composed frame of mind. When generally what happens when the things don't go as we plan, it is hard on us. We start indulging in negative talk. I'm worthless. I could have done this. Means all types of negative thoughts come to our mind. Instead of this, if the students practice self-compassion by talking to themselves kindly and acknowledging the fact that everyone, irrespective of who or he or she is, experiences setbacks and failures. If they acknowledge this, and it is not something which is new and which has happened only to me. So this acceptance and taking it in a natural way, I think will definitely help them to control their emotions. Sometimes it has been seen that the children, the students, they fall into the trap of blaming themselves for their performance. I did not listen to my parents, means they guilt. They must remember that exams are only one aspect of their academic journey. And there may be several other factors which might have contributed to their result. Maybe the child has studied very well throughout the year, but in those 3 hours time, the crucial time when he had to write the written exam, he did not have that mental state, maybe due to nervousness or due to some other reason, maybe not well. So that 3 hours time is not sufficient, I think, to judge a child or label the child as a late bloomer or a faith in themselves. Another point is that celebrate the wins. Means even if the outcome, today the result is out and the result may not be the way they must have hoped for. So it is very important to recognize if the child has made any progress or achievement that were made. For example, if a child, suppose, had scored 70% in the pre-boards, and in board exam, the result is out today, even if he has scored 72%, rate his progress because his graph is going up. So he should compare himself with him only, with his previous performance. And if there is a positive change, there is a progress, then I think that also needs celebration. And if the child has gone down also, even then the parents should be positive about it. The parents should support the child because it might lead to many psychological upheaval in the mind of the students. Then another thing is, I always tell my children, learn for life, not for exam. So they should focus on what they have learned, and they should focus on the experience they have gained, whether positive or negative, because this experience will definitely provide them opportunity for growth and learning. If the child never fails, he cannot know where are his lackings. So try helping them by reframing the situation. Means parents and the teachers, they can try this out. They can reframe the situation by focusing the children on what they have learned, so that whatever they are carrying forward with them, the skills, competencies, learning out we talk about, they can really help achieve their larger goal in life. Maybe the child hasn't scored very well, but he must have met, say, 60% learning outcomes he has been able to achieve. So we should always be positive and use those 60% learning outcomes which he has achieved and bridge over the gap. And after analyzing the result today, I think the parents and the children both should try to analyze their learning gaps. Where have I gone wrong? There is need to retrospect and think, and they can try to bridge that gap so that in the next class, in the next grade, or in the life, they may not have hurdles on their way to achieving their larger goal. And they should take this result as a learning opportunity to push themselves to work harder. So it might be a stepping stone towards their success, we can say. And one thing for the parents, that exam results are not the only measure of the worth of their children. When the children are facing disappointment now, it is, as parents, as teachers, our duty to distract the children from their shortcomings and focus their attention on their strengths and achievements. Remind them what good things they had done in the past. Acknowledge their efforts. You really worked hard. You really did. It doesn't matter whatever result is, but your efforts were great. Means we should be motivating in our words also. Because one setback, one failure, or one getting less marks in one exam cannot define a child. And these setbacks, they are the natural part of learning process. Because it is rightly said also, failures are the pillars of success. Another thing they can do is practice gratitude. At this stage of upheaval and tension and turmoil, if students try to focus on those things for which they are grateful for, then they can shift their mindset towards a positive outlook. Instead of feeling low about what they could not achieve, they can take a few minutes time. What are they grateful for? For example, they might be having supportive friends, supportive family, good health, personal achievements he might have achieved in the past. So if they jot down, I think that will also help them a bit. Then parents should provide, parents again, unconditional love and support. Unconditional. Many a times it has been seen that parents, they promise their children that if you get 90%, I'll give you this. If you get 80%, I'll give you this. So my request to the parents is this, that they should provide unconditional love and support, even though the result of their child is not as per the expectation, as per their hopes. After all, who is important for them? The child or the result? Of course, their answer will be child. Child's mental health is much more important than what the result is all about. Then it is a common tendency among the elders and the parents to compare their children with others. So I would like to remind them that kindly don't do so. Remind your children of their own strength. Each child in this world is unique. Each one is endowed with certain skills, competencies, aptitude, creative skills. So it is time when home for say 12 hours, 16 hours, the children are closely observed by their parents. So it is the duty of the parents as well as the teachers in the school to find out that hidden talent in the children and help them nurture that talent so that they can be successful in their life. And be positive, because life and future never ends with acquiring less than expected result in any specific exam. So positivity, I think, will go a long way. And I would like to say here that facing exam results that are not as per the expectations of the students might be challenging for them, but with right mindset, support, and strategy, they can easily overcome this, the disappointment, and they can move forward positively towards their academic and personal goals. So I think if some of the strategies we have discussed here on this panel, if the children are listening to us, parents are listening to us, so it should be by the side of their children today and celebrate in whatever way they can to make this result day a memorable day for the children and not a horrible one. Thank you.
Thank you, Manjuji. Wonderful, because you have suggested many ways how to accept the result, whatever the result, and how to look at the result, and then what are the ways and the different roles also. You have suggested the parents' role, teachers' role, etc. And there are ways to cope up with the given situation, even if it is disappointing. As you have suggested, there are ways. There are ways. This is not the end of the life. The result is not the end of the life. The life is much more important than a particular result, whether it's a board result, entrance examination result, or any result. I think it's a part of life, a very bit of life. It's not the whole of life. So rightly you have suggested and explained, and you have given the ways, suggested the ways how to deal with this situation. I think we have some time left, so I would like to go for second round quickly. If Miss Ira is there, Miss Ira Dashisha, are you there? Miss Ira Dashisha?
Yes, sir. I'm very much here.
Would you like to add whatever you have explained in the first round? Would you like to add something to that point or any other thing to the whole discourse?
Well, if you give me time to add, I can take up the entire session. But yes, just a few, maybe a few more very important facts which I would like to speak and address our students who are watching us and parents. That this is for the parents. This is for the parents. My advice to you, not just parents, but also all the other stakeholders who forms the environment around that child whose results are about to be declared or has been declared, is that to ensure that you make the environment around him or her as comfortable and relaxed as possible. I mean, that is the prime, like all the other panelists correctly covered every single, they've mentioned every single part. But yes, as parents, the first and the most important thing, if I remember for myself also, would probably have been if my parents would have made the environment comfortable and cohesive and also approachable, maybe, for that matter. This is for the stakeholders, parents, teachers, and grandparents, everyone around the child. And for students, children, I would like you to know that you are already winners. You are already winners. And congratulations to those who made it. And please remember that you accept your results in whatever way, whatever form it has come to you. And also the result which has come to you is actually the effort, the sole effort and hard work which you have put in, that you have alone put in. So don't get drowned by other people, other external determinants. What matters and what speaks at the end of the day is the effort which you have put in. So like Ms. Anupam ma'am clearly said that there are different ranges, right, from low to high, and how do you associate the kind of emotion? Children, just remember that the result which comes to you is solely the effort and hard work which you have put in, and accept it with a smile. And there's a lot of variety ahead in terms of subject, combination, studies, educational institutions, job prospects. The world is out there for you. So congratulations and all the very best in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Ira. Nicely added many good points, many valuable points, especially for the parents. Thank you very much. May I request Kamalji, if Kamalji has some points to add to the whole discussion or to his points earlier made?
Very much, sir. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity again. Like Ira, I would also say that I would continue forever and ever and try to give every child a big space so that the child could live and breathe happily in this world. We have to understand that every child is a dream of his parent, is unique, and is a supreme soul. So here, even the child has to understand that life is just not only about percentages. It is not about profit and loss. Uh, Taking examples from those personalities who were able to overcome these anxieties, the fears, the depressions, and ultimately make it to the highest level. There are so many in our society. So children ultimately they have to understand. And so every panelist has rightly said here that we are very much responsible. A student needs our support. Um, they need us. So rather than just leaving them aside, we have to hold their hands and take them through the correct path, keeping them safe and forwarding them for the next very beautiful generation so that they light the world with a beautiful torch of knowledge. I think we are more responsible, sir.
Thank you, Kamalji. Thank you very much. Ma'am, Anupam Talwar, being a psychologist, I expect that you would add some more perspectives to the whole, topic and whole discourse which we have taken up today for today's discussion. Managing emotions in the face of upcoming board results. As you have added that we have to look at the result perspective, how we take up the result, how we understand the result, any result. I would say wonderful, I think, theorizing, wonderful thing. Because in the whole gamut of things, how we understand, how we take up this result, how we interpret this result, I think many things lie there. So similarly, would you like to, the theory part, the practice part, because you are a practitioner also in this field. So would you like to add some more serious points to this, which will be a takeaway for our parents, the students who are listening to, and teachers and all other stakeholders, those who are watching and will be watching this session future. Madam Anupam.
Ji, Professor Subhash, yes, what you're saying now, and like you repeated, actually, our topic for today, it's managing emotions. So just focusing on that, when we talk about managing emotions now, a lot of times, because see, like a previous panelist also said, very rightly so, that if you ask a parent who's important to you, obviously they'll always choose their child, no doubt about it. Hannah? But what goes wrong often is that we are trying to help our child, whether the parent, whether teachers, whether, when we say so-called stakeholders, sometimes even our friends, everyone is trying to help us through, but sometimes their attempts to help can actually do more harm than good. And where and how we can go wrong is here. See, when it comes to emotional upheaval, when I'm feeling a strong emotion, especially when I'm feeling a strong negative emotion, all right? But it also falls true for strong positive emotions also. So just to give you an example, back to the same two kids, I gave that example of 35% and 98%. So let's say if that child with 35% is like so happy and yay, I passed. And someone in his family or his environment, social environment says, what's there to be so happy about? What's the big deal? You don't need to be proud of this. Okay, so what we are doing is we are dismissing his feelings. He is happy and we're saying, why? This is not the right place to be happy. This is not the right reason to be happy. Okay, but one is this, because why we feel that we are encouraging. If we say good, you did well, he won't try harder next time. A lot of time as teachers, as educators, we feel that we cannot encourage him at this time, because then we are teaching him to be satisfied with 35%. We know he can do better, right? So good intentions, but they can harm the child. In the same way, it goes like, let's say our child with 98%, I said the red flag is when they don't express. That is worrisome. We have to get them to express, right? But I'm talking about a child who's willingly expressing his emotions. So he's willingly saying that I am so devastated that I got only 98%, right? And what do? We start our so-called positive talk. Right? So positive talk. Let's talk positive. It's okay. Not a big deal. It's all right. Come on. You need to be proud of yourself. So we are trying to help that child by giving him more and more, positive inputs. But once again, what are we doing? We are being dismissive of his feelings. So how we are going wrong here is, what is needed is the first step that all of us should remember is, whatever your child has scored, whatever their reaction may be, whatever their emotional reaction may be, whether they are devastated, whether they are disillusioned, whether they are confused, whether they're happy, first make them feel heard and understood. Acknowledge their emotion, acknowledge that feeling. Start out by saying that, I understand you are feeling devastated that you missed out on that 2%. You are feeling that, oh, I'm not good enough. I tried my best, but I could not score a 100%, right? So you are not harming the child. Don't be scared that you are helping them or being supportive in their so-called not correct emotional response. You are actually making that child feel heard. You're making that child feel understood. And the moment that, at this moment, during heightened emotions, that is all that is needed. And once the child is willing, they trust you, they're willing to talk to you, then comes the rest of it. So whether it is my child who scored 35%, first be happy with him. Jump in joy with him. Share his happiness with him. You'll get, even as an educator, even as a parent, you will get chances later to tell him, come on, but you can do better. I'll show you how. Right? So this is the moment I would say that let's focus on making every child feel heard and understood, no matter what emotional experience they are going through now that they have received their board results. So that would be my thing that I would like to share with everyone here.
Great listening to you. And I am really hopeful that our viewers also, they will be highly benefited out of your talk. I'm Manju, would you like to add something to your part, or to the whole discourse.
Okay, 1 or 2 words for the parents. Many a times it has been seen that parents take the result of their children as a status symbol, and they feel that if their child has scored a certain percentage of marks, then they will be acknowledged, they'll be respected, revered in the society. Otherwise, people will look down on them, that they could not take care of their children properly or something like that. So even for students, I would like to say that don't compare yourself with anyone, number one. Again, I reiterate this fact. And number 2 is you are unique. You have the potential. Now the result is in your hand. For example, class 10th result is in the hand. The child must have scored well in all the 5 subjects. But now 10th class result basically is needed to choose the stream or the subjects which he wants to take up. So it's time now to analyze your result and to know your real aptitude in which subject you feel comfortable at. Otherwise, this vicious circle of anxiety, stress will continue. If they could make a right choice of the subjects in which they are comfortable at, in which they are interested, right after class 10th, I think the forward journey, academic journey, will become a joyful experience for them. Because till 10th class, we did not have so much of flexibility. We had certain subjects which every child had to study. But in the new education policy, in the national education policy, such system is coming. So hopefully it will help the students to take up any combination of subjects at any point of time. And parents also should not force their expectation on their children. That will again add to the anxiety. It has been seen in school scenario that many children, they stream just after 2-3 months only, they feel out of the place there. They are unable to score. They try to compare the result of class 11 with 10th class, where they might have scored 80%, 90%. But when it comes to 11, because there already a gap is there, and if the child did not have the interest in those subjects, he had taken it just out of peer pressure or the parents' expectation, or just seeing his friends going into that stream. So again, that problem erupts. So today, as the result is out, I think all the parents, all the children should celebrate in whatever way they can. And I would like to congratulate all the students who have made it, and nothing has gone wrong with those also who could not meet their expected target, because one exam cannot define you as such. So thank you, I think.
Thank you very much, Manju ma'am, for your value addition to the whole talk. Because we have some time left with us. Any panelist would like to chip in, or should I go for summing up? Uh, any panelist would like to chip in, add some points? Yes, Anupam ji, because we are left with some time. Yes, Anupam ji.
Subhash ji, one thing I wanted to add was, sometimes this is for children. Most of the times now, we want to, in hopes of encouraging them to do well, we only share our personal success stories as the adults in their lives. So we should not be scared. We think that if we share stories of our failures, it won't work right, and maybe it will discourage them, or they won't work as hard. But actually, it works the other way around. So it takes a lot of courage. It's not easy as a parent or as an educator, to be able to frankly share incidents of your times when you were disappointed or you failed. which I'm sure all of us have at some point in life experienced. Not necessarily to do with marks only, though even I think marks related stories, everyone would have at least one to share, right? So, but we never do. So sometimes what happens is, finding the courage, if we as adults can start finding the courage to show our complete selves to the younger generation. Show them, if they see you as, they look up at you as that, wow, that teacher that they really adore and they look up to, or they really look up to the parent and idolize them. They think that, you reached there, you are so successful in life and you never experienced any failures. You're being able to have the courage to share stories of your failures actually shows them, it is like teaching them that this is part of life. Sometimes, there are hits and misses, but then they help shape your life. They help you reach somewhere. Sometimes certain doors close because that is what forces you to take a new door. Sometimes it gives you, it's about how did you tackle the failure, how low you felt at that time, and then what did you do about it. So they feel, again, it's again about feeling, they can relate more to you, they can connect better with you. And this, I'm speaking particularly about those students who, for whatever reason, are not happy with their marks, who are, feeling disappointed with themselves, with their performance. Because it is a very sad thing, but it is a fact that as of now, where we stand, it's like marks equal to self-worth. So how many marks did you make is a direct sort of a definition of where you stand, in the social hierarchy. So that is why it is all the more important for us as adults to be able to realistically show children the way, rather than just, this is more relatable to them when you can share so-called little incidents of the failures that you expected in life growing up. So this was one thing I wanted to add. Ji.
So nice. So nice, Ajit. Thank you very much, Anupamji. Ira, would you like to add or no? Okay, it's all right. So now we are towards the end of today's Paricharcha, today's session. Friends, we have discussed all the aspects of managing emotions in the face of upcoming board results. Life is always an examination, I would say. Life is always a preparation for examination. Every task is a kind of examination. And throughout the life, we go through this process, and then we get involved in some activity. It's a part of our examination. We do some work. It's a part of examination, and again we harvest the fruit, and sometimes that fruit might not be as per our expectation, might not be satisfactory, and it might be disappointing, and then we have to deal with that situation. So the life is full of such situations. This is one situation when, as one of the panelists, Ma'am Anupam has rightly said that, this board examination, the 10th board, the 12th board, at this level, when students are passing through that age, and this is the age of heightened emotions. And heightened emotions, whether positive or negative, when it crosses the limit, then again there is a red signal. There's a consequence of that. So anything good or bad, when it crosses the limit, I think it has some repercussion. So this result, and one of the panelists in this discussion has rightly said that this examination and the result, the waiting time in between these two, the longer the period, and it's always full of anxiety. It's always there, and it's but natural. It's not saying that there won't be anxiety, there won't be worry, there won't be any change inside. I mean, we are thinking if we have done some work, we have prepared for something, we have passed through something, we have taken pain for something, rightly, we have every right to see that how the result is coming. And so that period is creating some amount of tension inside, and it's but natural. But the thing is, when the result comes, it is up to us, as many panelists in this discussion, they have rightly pointed out that how we take up that result, how we understand that result. There are ways. First, the reality we have to accept, as rightly has been said, and this is the part of life, that life, we have to be little realistic and always realistic in our approach and understanding and thinking, and we have to accept the situation. Accepting the situation is the first thing from where we can start afresh and we can have a new pathway ahead. So that is the thing, whether it is 35% or 98%. We have to accept what is coming before us. So that is one thing. And in that whole discussion, what I am getting is that, even 35% and 98%, it's all perspective. How do you look at these things? Secondly, very, very important idea has been floated in this discussion that, if the result comes and if it is, this result is looked at not only from the student's perspective, it's not only the student alone, because a student has his or her own expectation and her own mindset or his own mindset to see, look at these things, or think of himself or herself in a particular way, and
Sir, I'm
at the
sorry,
same.
I'm interrupting you, but we are running very short of time, so please sum up, sir.
So I think there are other players here. Parents are there, teachers are there, neighborhood is there, society is there, and then the comparison element is so bad because we all know that each child is unique in nature, and each child is born with some special kind of inabilities, inborn capabilities that we have to understand, and that interest and aptitude and inner potentialities we have to understand, and then accordingly we have to channelize those things,
Right.
and there we have to motivate them. I think with all this, I end here, and I thank all my co-panelists who participated in today's discussion, discourse, Paricharcha, MANODARPAN Paricharcha. I am so thankful, and I am thankful to all the viewers. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you so very much. Pleasure is all our. And sir, it was indeed listening to you all. And I'm quite sure this Manodarpan Paricharcha would have been a great learning to all the stakeholders out there. And it's time for me to wrap up this session. But thank you so very much to all the panelists for being with us. Thank you so very much. Thank you, sir and ma'am. Thank you. And as we just came to know that CBSE 10th results are out now, and all the very best to all the students out there. And as our experts say, you all are unique in your own way. Please always keep this in your mind. And I have to wrap up this session here only, but before that, let me share a very important piece of information regarding NCERT textbooks. NCERT textbooks for the year 2023-24 are available throughout the country. These textbooks may be purchased directly from NCERT sales counters located at New Delhi, Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Kolkata and Guwahati. These sales counters will be functional on all the weekdays, including registered holidays, Saturdays and Sundays as well, from 9:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. You may also place order all these books online from our website, that is ncert.ncert.gov.in, and all these books will be delivered at your doorsteps with no delivery fees. And if you want a soft copy of these books in PDF version, it can also be downloaded for free from NCERT, Diksha, e-Pathshala website and from our mobile app as well. Please visit the website ncert.nic.in to know more about the authorized vendor. Me, Renu Bhatt, is taking your leave, but you stay tuned to eVidya channels and NCERT official YouTube channel for more informative program. Namaskar.